£615 to get a tenant into one of our properties. Wow. Okay. So are we being ripped off? Is that average? Is that a fantastic rate? Who knows? Well, we know, but obviously if you're watching this video, thank you very much. Let's just quickly go over the numbers. But before we go over the numbers, I've got the statement here in front of me. Before we go over the numbers, do me a favor, please hit the subscribe button, because about 75-80% of people that watch these videos are not subscribers. So do me a favor now, it would be massively appreciated. Hit that subscribe button, okay? From one entrepreneur to another, and do me a big favor. Thank you very much. Anyway, so I've got the statement here in front of me. I'm going to try and cover up the brand because I don't want. So on here now, there is lots of information about obviously the costing of getting that tenant in. Now, this agency charges £615. Okay, is that good? Is that bad? Who knows? All right, we've got another one of the our managing agencies that charges £300. So then you're going to think, as a business person, you're going to think, right, well, why is this person charging 300? This person's charging 615. Is this person twice as good? And so on. So one tip that I always give my mentees, if you're not looking to manage your properties yourself, now we've got at the moment just 2 that we manage ourselves. The rest we outsource to managing agents and so on, okay? So let's just go over these numbers now. You might think, well, why do we manage some? Why don't? Because over the last few years, obviously we wanted to concentrate on more on building our portfolio. And at some point, when we get to a certain number, which we've got in our head as a goal, it's written down on that over there on that board, then we're probably going to think, right, let's start to bring everything back in house and keep the money in our ecosystem, okay? Because 10% of your rent across 18, 20, even if it's 2 or 3 properties, okay, it cuts into your profits. So you might as well think, no, I'm going to try and keep that myself if you want to do that. Right, so expenditure, deposit registration charge. Okay, now I think this is with TDS, I think, but there's 3 main agencies really that you can register your deposit here in the UK. So I think My Deposit's one, Tenant Deposit Scheme's another, and the other one I can't seem to remember at the moment now. So that's £41.67 plus VAT, £8.73. So basically they charged £50, £50 to register the deposit. So what you can't do, if you're not familiar with this, is you can't take the money off the tenant, the deposit, and then just put it in your bank, okay? You can, but so long as you then obviously register that deposit somewhere, so that basically that money is protected somewhat. All right, so back in the days, when we started in 2007, that we could just take, I think at the time it was like £100, £150 deposit, put it in our pocket, and then that was just like a little bit of a safety net. Those days have gone now, okay? Is that a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. So they charge £50. Now, if you're going to do it on your own, it can go from 20 to 25 to £30, depending on which one of the 3 main agencies you use. So again, there's a markup there of 100% really. So you've got, I'm going to do it myself, I can pay £25, or I'm going to give it to them and they'll charge me 50. Other thing now, inventory check. Okay, so £110, VAT is 22, so they charged £132 altogether for that. That's actually all right, really, because we've got somebody that does our EPCs and our inventories as well, and they charge 80. For an EPC, I think it's about £50. I think. Okay, I need to speak to my partner on this. But the inventories I know are about £80, £90. So there's not that much of a markup there. Now remember, these are in business to make money. Okay, so there's always going to be a little bit of a markup. Now, an inventory, again, just to, if you're not familiar, it's where somebody goes around, take pictures of everything, records the condition of the property, so that when the tenant leaves, if there's a dispute, you can go, do you know what, that wall wasn't like that when you first moved in? And the tenant goes, yes, it was. It will be recorded and dated on the inventory check, okay? Because then you might go, all right, yeah, it was. Or, you could go back to the tenant and say, see, this is how the condition of the wall was. We're now going to take some of the money from the deposit to repaint this wall because you've left it, in not the state that you found it in. All right, so there's a £110 there. Now let's just go back to this £615 to get a new tenant in versus one of our other agents that charges £300. Okay, so I'll go to that one in a minute, and then upfront letting fees £275, 55 VAT, so that's £330. Now that's probably the marketing of putting it all on Rightmove and so on. So you'll notice, especially if you're familiar with Rightmove and Zoopla and on the market, you'll notice things by open rent. That's when landlords are obviously doing it themselves and so on. And a little tip, especially if you're looking for any rent-to-rent type strategies or anything like that, or looking to market to tired landlords, if the beds aren't made, if it's looking scruffy and dated, the landlord really now isn't really bothered. So there'd be a prime one for you to market directly to say, listen, I'll try and take this off your hands. Let's do something here. If the pictures are pristine and they've staged the property, then it's a completely different level of investor. All right. So just a tiny little tip there. So, and then we've got the management fees of 10%. Now this property is rented at 895. So 10% of 895 is £89.50 plus VAT is 107. So again, I know I'm jumping around a lot in this video, and again, I hope you've subscribed. £107 each and every month is going to come out of our rent for this property at 895. So do the maths there, just call it £100 a month times 12. So there's £1,200 a month coming out of this rent just for somebody to manage it. So that's what I was getting at there. As soon as you get even if it's one or two, is that better in your pocket? Have you got time to deal with all that? Do you want to deal with all that? All right. But when you tip over the 15, the 20 mark, you then look and go, right, well, 10%, that's £100 times 20, that's £2,000 we're spending a month. That's 24 grand a year that we're spending, or should I say, giving away to somebody else. Surely we could bring it house and at least keep 50% of that. Okay. So that would always be my recommendation. But again, every level is a new devil. Let's always remember that. Now, the other agent that obviously looks after one of our other properties, well, two of our other properties, they charge $300 for everything. So it's just a line item on the invoice, and it goes, something like moving in tenant. That does include, though, exactly the same marketing of the property, doing viewings of the property, dealing with all the tenant checks and so on, recording the deposit in one of the obviously government-backed schemes and so on, and what else would it called? Inventory. So just always be aware. I'm an advocate of you get what you pay for, but in some instances there's not that much of a difference. Okay, so it's not as if we're comparing Rolls Royce to, I don't know, obviously one of the worst cars ever. All right, pretty much you'll notice that most of the agents are there or thereabouts. Of course, some of them are going to be better than others, but it's up to you as a savvy investor to think, do you know what, I'm going to try this out with two or three, see which one's better, because I don't want to always think that this one particular agent is going to get all of my work moving forward. And I know I put a lot of videos out about the number one in your business is bad. It's exactly the same. Never just have one agent looking after you, all your properties and so on. All right. Never just have one source of marketing. Never just have one key employee. Never just have one stream, one source of income. Okay. So again, just keep taking steps further forward. Was that, again, I'm going to try, let's cover it this way. Was that £615 there money well spent? Or should we have gone with the other ones for 300 and got the same and got a tenant in? Okay. But think long term as well. This is about relationships. We now, hopefully, because the agents ring us up every now and again to obviously tell us about certain properties that a landlord might be getting rid of, you're also getting access to that type of phone call as well. So don't be stepping over pounds to pick up pennies. Look at the long game. All right. Don't just be thinking of here and now. Obviously, if we weren't happy with these, we wouldn't be staying with them. We'd be moving on. But just a little educational video for some people out there that are obviously wanting to get better at property, wanting to improve the knowledge and so on. If you lasted this long, well done. My name's Dervish. Obviously, I've got a nice cash producing portfolio. So check out some of the blogs on our website. Subscribe to this channel. The website is my name, Dervish, and then .com. Okay. And if you want to, obviously, this is from a martial arts school mentees, who I mentor two types of people: property investors and martial arts schools owners. There are quite a few tips in that book which you will also be able to apply to the property investing world. Business strategies, business mindset, there is quite a few things in that. So it might be worth that £14-15 on Amazon and see what you get from it before the property book comes out, which should be out probably within the next 4 months, really. Okay, just working on that behind the scenes. Anyway, good luck, everybody. Keep taking steps further forward. Subscribe, and hope to speak to you soon. All the best.